Hello, my name is Nancy Strickland, and I'm going to show you how push notification can be used in a Windows Phone 7 Silverlight application. Some applications need to keep up with external data that might change. It could be data in a cloud service on Windows Azure, for example. Windows Phone 7 apps handle that with push notification, which lets an external service send messages to a Windows Phone 7 app even if that app isn't running. To do this, an app sets up a notification channel that's represented by a URI and registers with the service. Then when a cloud service needs to send a push notification to a device, it sends a notification request to the Microsoft Push Notification Service, MPN. The MPN then routes the notification to the push client on the phone on behalf of the cloud service. When the phone's connected, the push client on the phone receives the notifications. If the application is running, the application can get that information directly and handle it. But if not, the phone can notify the user, and the user can then start the app to handle the notification. There are three kinds of notifications the phone can receive. A toast notification pops up like this when the phone is connected and a message is received, but the target app itself isn't running. If the user has pinned the app to the start page, then the tile for that app can be used for notification like this. When the app is running, it can get data from an HTTP notification and use it however it wants. It could print it out directly, or it could use it to contact the device for more detailed information to display. Setting up all the parts of a push notification takes longer than most demos in this 7-minute series, so I'm going to go straight to the demo now, and later I'll give you some links for more detailed code examples. We'll start with the service that's going to send the notifications. It's a WCF Service Application project. First, I'll open the interface. Now I'll delete what's here and replace the code. You can see that there's only two method interfaces, one to let a client subscribe to notifications and the other to send a toast notification from the service. Now I'll open the Service1 file itself and paste in the code. First, the using statement for the HTTP operations I'll use, and then the implementations of subscribe and send toast. Subscribe is very simple. It just lets the service store a URI to send to. In this case, I've only allowed for one URI. That's for the demo only, of course, because normally you'd probably have multiple subscribers and store all those URIs. You might use a static dictionary with the backup file, maybe. In send toast, I've set up the XML that the phone expects to get, and I'm passing in two strings because a toast can show two lines, a title line and a detailed message line. Then I encode the message into an array of UTF-8 bytes and turn around and call send message, which is the next method here. It creates an HTTP web request object using POST and sets a content type and length, adds a couple of headers, sets the target as toast in the X Windows Phone target header, and then the to parameter here in the X notification class header means send toast immediately. And then it writes the HTTP post to a request stream. Before I go on, I want to build this. Now I'm going to add to the solution a very simple app whose only purpose is to trigger the service. You might not normally need this part. The service itself could decide when to send a toast based on its own internal logic. But to keep it simple, I'm just going to write an app with a button that instructs the service to send the toast. This app needs a service reference to the service. And now I need a button, and I need to create its click event handler. So I double-clicked the button, and I pasted in this code that creates a client for the service, and then uses that client to call the send toast method. The arguments to the send toast method here are the title and the message that we were just looking at a minute ago. Here we've hard-coded the toast to put check app on the first line and new data has arrived on the second. But of course the strings could have been created dynamically within the service. And now we're ready to create the phone app. I'll put a text block on it, and now I'll move to the code. I'll start with the using statements I need, and then paste in the code. I'll need a service reference. What I'm doing here is declaring a channel and setting up a channel name for it of my channel to identify the channel within the app. Then in the constructor, I'm calling setup notification channel. That method first tries to find that channel. If it can, the else part here calls register for notification. But if it can't, it first creates a channel and then sets up a handler for the URI updated event and then opens the channel. So let's look at that updated handler here below it. It'll be called when the URI is first created and also if it's ever changed. It finds the channel name, binds it to the shell toast, and then registers for notifications. In Register for Notifications, we create a new client for calling the service that we just wrote and use it to call the subscribe method asynchronously, sending it the URI that's associated with the channel we created. And then I set up a handler for the toast notification event. In that handler, which is the last method here, I'll get a collection from the event args and use the text1 and text2 elements from that XML for the toast that we set up earlier when we were writing the service. I'll now put that into the text block on the main page of the phone app. Now we're almost ready to run it, but first I have to look at the startup project. I'll change that from being a single startup project to multiple so I can start all three parts of this solution. Now I'm ready to run it, but I'll cut some time out and then come back with all three parts of my solution up and running. The service that I'm minimizing, the phone app, and the app to send a notification from the service. Now when you get to this point and run it, you may get an error. There's a known bug in the beta emulator that makes it take a long time, maybe 30 seconds, to register so this application will work. If I get one of those errors, what I do is stop the app but not the emulator. I close the web service window and the app window, and I can even stop debugging, but I leave the emulator running. And then I wait about 30 seconds and I try again. But of course I'm not going to make you wait for that. I'll cut some time here. So now I'll click the button, and there it is. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it better. The message arrived in the app here because the app's running. Now I'm going to turn the app off by going back to Start. And now I'll click the button to send the message again. And this time you saw and heard the toast pop up. What I showed you was a stripped down skeleton demo. It doesn't even have error handling, so you'll want to look at more examples to see something more polished, more like what you'd really want to do. A very nice example is available in the Windows Phone 7 Training Kit for Developers, the Beta Refresh, which you can download from this link. And the second link here is to the MSDN documentation with sample code. So that's been a quick look at push notifications for Windows Phone 7. I'll put a copy of the code up on my blog for download, and as I post new videos, I announce them on Twitter. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.